Hello YouTube, and welcome to Katrinka LOL. And today I want to talk about part 2 of situational awareness. Now in part 1, I told you a story that worked out well for me because I was very situationally aware. And in this video I'm going to tell you 2 stories of when I wasn't. And there were consequences, but now looking back, the stories are kind of funny, but it taught me a lesson. Now keep in mind that these 2 stories occurred over a half a century ago. So give me a break for being a kid. I was, 10, 12 years old. Okay, so the first story I call the garbage story. All right. Now, I was in grammar school, and I had come home for lunch, and I was going to go to school, back to school, and my mother asked me to take the garbage out and put it in the can in front of the house. So I was like, okay. So, school was, 6 or 7 city blocks away, so those were long blocks. So anyway, I'm on my way to school, and I'm lost in my thoughts. Maybe I had a test that afternoon or something like that. And so I was really engrossed in my own thoughts. I was maybe a half a block away from school when I realized I was still carrying the garbage. I had gotten so enveloped in my own thoughts that I forgot I was carrying the garbage. So anyway, I panicked for a moment and then looked around for a garbage can that I could actually throw the garbage in without getting into trouble with adults around. And I found one, and so that worked out okay for me. I could have wound up carrying the garbage into the classroom. It was so funny. So anyway, that taught me that if you have something on your mind, to make an extra effort to keep your attention on what it is that you need to do right now. Okay, so that's situational awareness story number 1. Okay, story number 2, I call the cement story. And this was also around that same time. I was maybe 12 years old, something like that. So I had come home for lunch, and I was starting to run a little bit late. I had pressure to get back to school on time. So what I used to do in those days, and I'm not sure why, but I think it's because there were cracks in the sidewalk, and the sidewalk was uneven, and I would trip. So I'd keep my head down and look at the cement right in front of me, the sidewalk right in front of me, so that I wouldn't trip and whatnot. Well, I walked straight into some wet cement, fell over the barrier, and wound up ripping my stockings and scraping up my knees. And so I had to go back home and get all cleaned up and everything, put on fresh stockings and get ready to go back to school. Now, I was really starting to run late here. So I crossed the street so I would be sure to avoid that patch of cement where they were repairing the sidewalk. So I was smart enough to cross the street, and then I started running. But I was still looking down, that's how I walked and ran in those days. So can you guess what happened? Yep, I ran right into a patch of cement, wet cement, on the other side of the street. And this time I went headlong into it because I was running. So this was really getting ridiculous at that point. So I ran home, and the guy who had been, putting this wet cement down, he was pretty upset. But I just ran home, and my mother couldn't believe it. So I needed to put on, there were no more stockings left, so I needed to put on knee highs. And then I was absolutely late for school. So my mother had to take me to school and explain to the teacher what happened. So the teacher brings me up in front of the class and she says, Katrinka had a little accident today. That's why she's late. So anyway, the moral of that story is that if you're too focused and you're blocking out everything else around you and you're not seeing the big picture, then you can also get into trouble. So those are two kind of metaphorical stories of situational awareness, and I hope you enjoyed them. If you have stories of your own or you enjoyed these stories, just leave some comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.